He was a billionaire CEO who thought magic didn't exist, until he met Amara, an African maiden whose light could heal, destroy, or change the world. One secret, one choice, and one heartbeat would make her his destiny, and his salvation. Ethan Caldwell had built empires from blueprints and instinct. At 48, his life was an unbroken ledger of numbers, mergers, and immaculate control. Yet as his jet touched down on African soil that week, control was the last thing he felt. The Caldwell Foundation had funded dozens of development projects across the continent, but this time he'd come personally, incognito, to inspect a proposed solar installation. The board had warned him, "You're wasting time on sentiment, Ethan. Let the team handle it." He'd ignored them. After years of sterile conference rooms, he needed to see something real. The drive from the small regional airport to Nsuna village was long and hot, the kind of heat that forced a man to slow down and feel. Outside his tinted window stretched fields of cassava and maize, dotted with baobab trees. For the first time in years, Ethan loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves, and let the wind whip through the open window. He didn't expect magic. The SUV turned a final corner, revealing a crowd gathered around the village well. Laughter mingled with the steady splash of water. Children balanced clay pots on their heads. At the center stood a young woman whose presence seemed to command the light itself. "Welcome, my beautiful family and friends. If you re-hooked in and you re-ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you re-watching from, because, tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's begin. Amara Nwosu. She was 25, with skin the color of polished mahogany, hair braided long with tiny gold threads that caught the sun, and eyes bright as amber glass. She wasn't dressed like anyone wealthy, just a simple cream-wrap dress cinched with woven cord, but something about her posture radiated confidence, serenity. Ethan watched as she touched a broken pump pipe, murmuring something in Igbo under her breath. A hum filled the air. Then, impossibly, the rusted metal brightened. No welding torch, no tool, just a soft golden glow flowing from her palms until the crack sealed itself. Water gushed anew, and the children squealed with delight. Ethan's driver gasped. "Sir, did you?" "I saw," Ethan murmured. He stepped out, the dry heat wrapping around him. Every instinct told him to rationalize. Some kind of chemical reaction, sunlight, optical illusion. But when Amara turned, meeting his gaze, logic dissolved. For a suspended moment, the marketplace went quiet. Her eyes locked onto his, curious, unafraid. "Good morning," she said in lightly accented English. "You are far from home, sir." Her voice held calm authority, the kind that makes even powerful men forget their rehearsed lines. "I could say the same for you," Ethan replied before realizing how absurd it sounded. "I mean, what you just did with the pump, how?" She smiled slightly, as if amused by his disbelief. "It is a gift. My grandmother said it comes from the earth when the heart is clean." He almost laughed. Magic? Gifts? These were not words that fit into quarterly reports. Yet the warmth still pulsed faintly from where she'd touched the pipe, and the water shimmered with specks of light like tiny suns. A group of children crowded her, tugging at her sleeves, calling her sister Amara. She thanked them, instructing them gently to share the water evenly. Ethan noticed the respect in their faces. It wasn't fear, but reverence. "Are you part of the solar project?" she asked, tilting her head. Ethan hesitated. He hadn't intended to reveal who he was. "Something like that. I'm evaluating the site." "You are the engineer." He considered the irony and nodded. "Let's say I fund the engineers." Her laughter was quiet but genuine. "Then you are the one who makes big promises." That line hit deeper than he expected. Big promises. He thought of the investors he disappointed, the charities cut short when profit margins tightened. As they spoke, a faint tremor rippled underfoot. Amara glanced toward the mountains. "The river spirits are restless," she murmured. Ethan frowned. "Earthquake." "No," she said softly, "a warning." Before he could question further, an elderly woman hurried over, clutching Amara's arm. "Child, the governor's men are coming again. They want payment." Amara's jaw tightened. They already took enough. Tinctive. The bullets curved mid-air, slicing harmlessly into the trees. The SUV jolted as a tire blew, spinning off the road toward the riverbank. Metal screamed. Water exploded upward. The older woman's eyes flicked nervously to Ethan's SUV. They see the foreign car, they will demand more. Ethan's instinct to protect kicked in. If they're extorting you, I can. No, Amara's tone was firm. You cannot fix corruption with money, mister. Caldwell, he said, realizing she deserved the truth. Ethan Caldwell. Recognition dawned in her eyes. The Caldwell Foundation. Yes. She studied him silently, the way one measures weight before judgment. Then maybe you can help another way. Come with me. She led him through narrow pathways lined with clay huts until they reached a clearing near a large baobab tree. There, a circle of villagers sat in quiet anticipation. In the center, a young boy lay on a mat, sweating, trembling. Amara knelt beside him, placing her glowing hands above his chest. The tremors eased, his breathing steadied. Ethan watched in stunned silence as color returned to the child's cheeks. That's not science, he whispered. Amara looked up. Does everything need to be? Her question lingered like incense in the air. Ethan found himself speechless. If you were Ethan, wealthy, logical, and suddenly face to face with something that defied explanation, would you embrace what you saw, or walk away before it unraveled your world? Tell us in the comments what you'd do. As Amara rose, the wind stirred again, carrying whispers from the marketplace. The governor's jeeps were approaching, dust clouds rising in the distance. Ethan glanced toward the road. Amara's face remained calm but resolute. They will come to take more, she said quietly. But today, I will not let them. What will you do? Ethan asked. She turned to him, eyes glowing faintly gold. Whatever I must. The roar of engines grew louder. Ethan stepped protectively beside her, shielding her from the swirling dust. Then, without warning, one of the jeeps backfired, a crack like gunfire splitting the morning air, and the villagers screamed. Ethan's heart slammed in his chest. Beside him, Amara's hands began to blaze. Light burst from her palms in a sweeping arc, catching the sun and turning it to fire. The armed men skidded to a halt, blinded. Ethan stared in disbelief, half terrified, half entranced, as the impossible unfolded before him. The men from the governor's convoy climbed down from their jeeps, boots crunching on red soil, rifles slung carelessly across their shoulders. The sunlight struck their mirrored sunglasses, masking any trace of fear, but the way they hesitated said enough. They'd seen the flash from Amara's hands. Ethan's breath came fast, half choked with dust. What are you doing? He whispered. Amara didn't look at him. The faint gold shimmer still lingered on her skin. Protecting my people, she said. The leader of the men, a burly officer in a black uniform, stepped forward, voice booming. Who is responsible for this witchcraft? No one answered. The villagers shrank back, eyes darting between Amara and the soldiers. Ethan moved before he thought. Enough. His voice carried the authority of boardrooms and headlines. You have no right to threaten these people. The officer's gaze snapped to him. And who are you? Ethan Caldwell. My foundation funds the solar project here. He pulled an identification badge from his pocket, flashing the gold seal that usually opened doors. If you harm anyone, it becomes an international incident. A murmur ran through the villagers. The officer's jaw tightened. We don't take orders from foreigners. Then maybe you'll listen to reason, Ethan said, stepping closer. The man's reply was a barked laugh, and a rifle cocked. Amara lifted her hand. A ring of light rippled outward from her palm, distorting the air like heat haze. The rifle jammed. Sparks popped at its barrel. The officer cursed, dropping the weapon. Silence. Ethan stared, the rational part of his mind screaming for explanation, while another part, older, buried, simply believed. Amara turned slowly, meeting his gaze. You see now why they call me a curse, she said. He shook his head. No. They call you power. The soldiers backed toward their vehicles. The officer spat in the dust. This isn't finished. When they drove off, the roar of engines faded into the hills, leaving the village trembling with relief. Children cheered. The elder women knelt to thank Amara. She looked exhausted, shoulders trembling. Ethan reached for her. You need to rest. I need to leave, she murmured. They will come back with more. Then come with me, he said before thinking. My plane leaves tomorrow. You'll be safe. Her amber eyes searched his face for deceit. Safe? With a man who lives in towers of glass. He smiled faintly. I built those towers to hide in them. Maybe it's time I stopped. For a moment she said nothing. Then she nodded once, a decision heavy with consequence. If you were Amara, would you trust a stranger from another world, the very world that profits from your land, to protect you? Or would you stay and fight alone? Share your thoughts below. What's true courage to you? That night, under the humming sky, Ethan waited by the SUV as Amara packed a small cloth bundle, bare essentials, a carved wooden talisman, and a folded scrap of parchment covered in symbols. What is that? He asked. My grandmother's map, she said. It leads to the source of the light. Every generation, one woman is chosen to guard it. You think that light chose you? Her gaze softened. I don't think. I know. They drove in silence until the road met the river. Stars spilled across the water like silver dust. Amara rested her head against the window, eyelids heavy. Ethan glanced at her reflection. The glow had faded, leaving only the quiet strength of a woman who'd faced soldiers and never flinched. For the first time in years, he felt something deeper than ambition, purpose. A sudden flash appeared in the rearview mirror, headlights racing up behind them. The same jeeps, faster this time. Ethan slammed the accelerator, gravel spraying. Gunfire cracked through the night, shattering the back window. Get down, he shouted. Amara's hands flared again. NS. Then everything went black. When Ethan woke, moonlight poured through shattered glass. The SUV rested half-submerged at the edge of the river. His arm throbbed with pain, but Amara was gone. Only the shimmer of gold on the river's surface marked where she'd been. Panic clawed at him. Amara. A distant voice echoed from the water. Follow the light. He stumbled out, wading through cold current until he saw her standing on a cluster of stones mid-river, unhurt, the water swirling harmlessly around her ankles. I told you, she said softly, the earth protects its own. He almost laughed from relief. Remind me never to argue with it. Amara smiled faintly, extending her hand. Come, Mr. Caldwell. Your world has forgotten what magic looks like. Maybe it needs to re-meet them Pulsidma. As he reached for her, the river beamed with golden light, and from the shadows of the opposite bank, the governor's officer reappeared, weapon raised, voice cutting through the night. If I can't take her power, he snarled, I'll take her life. Ethan's shout was lost in the roar of water as Amara's glow burst brighter than the moon. The storm had passed, but the world had changed. By dawn, Ethan's private jet sliced through a streaked horizon above the Atlantic. Across from him, Amara sat wrapped in a soft grey blanket, gazing out the window at the endless clouds. The reflection in the glass made her look like a spirit suspended between worlds, half of earth, half of sky. Ethan couldn't stop watching her. The bruises on her wrists were faint now, healed faster than they should have. How are you feeling? He asked softly. Amara didn't look away from the window. Like a seed torn from its soil. You'll plant new roots, he said. She smiled faintly. Only if the ground allows it. Below them, the world glittered, Lagos fading behind, New York waiting ahead. But Ethan's mind wasn't in either place. It was still back on that riverbank, where he'd watched light bend around her like devotion. When the jet touched down at JFK, the city seemed to hum with energy. Towering glass, honking taxis, people moving like currents of color. Amara clutched her small cloth bundle tighter, eyes wide. So many souls, she whispered. And yet, everyone walks alone. Ethan glanced at her, surprised by the accuracy of the observation. You'll get used to it. I hope not, she murmured. Do you believe someone can carry ancient magic into a modern world, and still remain true to who they are? Or does the world always try to silence what it doesn't understand? Share your thoughts in the comments, because what happens next will challenge both hearts and beliefs. Ethan's penthouse sat high above the city like a fortress of glass and steel. To Amara, it felt like a cage of light. When the elevator doors opened, she froze. The walls gleamed with silver fixtures, marble floors stretched endlessly, and a grand piano sat by panoramic windows overlooking Central Park. The air smelled faintly of cedar and money. This is your home? She asked. For now, Ethan said. Yours too, if you'll let it be. Her hand brushed a smooth white wall. It doesn't breathe. He frowned. Breathe. In my village, homes are alive. Clay remembers your footsteps. Palm leaves whisper when storms come. This place, she pressed her palm against the glass, feels deaf. Ethan exhaled, realizing that wealth had long ago deafened him too. They spent the next days learning each other's worlds. Ethan introduced her to the chaos of city life, coffee shops, board meetings, and streets glowing with neon. Amara showed him simplicity, tending plants on his balcony, teaching him old songs from her tribe, telling stories of ancestors who spoke with the wind. But beneath the peace, something darker stirred. One evening, Ethan's phone buzzed with a call from his assistant, Connor. Sir, we've got a problem. Someone leaked footage of the incident in Africa. What footage? The river. The glow. People are calling her a witch online. Ethan's pulse spiked. Pull it down. All of it. Connor hesitated. Sir, it's already viral. Ethan turned toward the balcony. Amara stood there, the night breeze playing with her hair. The city lights flickered across her face like restless stars. They're coming for her, Ethan whispered. The following morning, reporters swarmed outside his building. Protesters held signs, "Stop the sorcery," while others cheered "Miracle Woman." Amara watched from the window, strangely calm. They fear what they desire. Ethan clenched his fists. They don't understand. Neither did you, she reminded gently. He met her gaze. I do now. But before he could say more, the door burst open. Connor stumbled in, pale and breathless. Security breach. Someone hacked into your personal servers, your travel logs, your emails. They know she's staying here. Ethan's mind raced. Who? The same men who attacked the village. They've been tracking her power. Amara's fingers curled around her grandmother's map. They want the light. Then they'll have to go through me, Ethan said. Amara shook her head. No. The light doesn't belong to any man, not even one who means well. She walked toward him, standing close enough that he could smell the faint scent of hibiscus in her hair. You offered me safety, she said softly, but maybe you were meant to find something else. What's that? Himself. Ethan blinked. I don't understand. You will. The room darkened suddenly, lights flickering out one by one. Outside, the city plunged into chaos. A blackout rolled across Manhattan like a living shadow. Connor swore. What the? Amara's eyes glowed faintly. They found me. Ethan grabbed her hand. We're leaving. They sprinted down emergency stairs, 30 floors below ground, into the private garage. The air smelled of ozone and panic. As they reached his car, a black SUV screeched into view, headlights blinding. The officer from the village stepped out, no longer in uniform but in a tailored suit, his smile cruel. Mr. Caldwell, he drawled, you brought the treasure right to us. Amara stepped forward. You chase light, but it burns those who touch it. He laughed. Then let me feel the fire. He raised a strange device, a cylindrical rod pulsing with blue electricity. Run. Ethan shouted. The device fired. A beam of searing energy struck Amara square in the chest. She screamed. The sound was not human. It was wind, thunder, heartbreak, and power all at once. The entire garage exploded in white light. When Ethan opened his eyes, the world was silent. Smoke hung heavy, alarms distant. The SUV was gone, vanished. Connor lay unconscious beside the car. And Amara was nowhere. He stumbled forward, calling her name until his voice cracked. Only a faint trail of glowing dust marked her absence, leading toward the city's dark skyline. She's alive, Ethan whispered to himself, clinging to it like prayer. She has to be. Suddenly, a phone on the floor buzzed. Connor's. A text message flashed across the cracked screen. Unknown number. If you want her back, bring the map. Midnight. Pier 47. Ethan's blood ran cold. He picked up the map Amara had carried everywhere, the parchment pulsing faintly, almost alive. He knew what it meant. Her enemies hadn't just taken her. They'd taken the secret she'd sworn to guard. And if he didn't act fast, the light, and Amara, would be lost forever. He straightened, jaw set, eyes burning with resolve. "You took the wrong woman," he muttered. "I'm coming for her." The city had never looked darker. Midnight fog rolled over the East River, swallowing the lights of Pier 47. Ethan's breath fogged in the cold as he stepped from the car, the crumpled parchment in one hand, the taste of metal in his mouth. The air buzzed faintly, like the hum before a storm. He had faced hostile takeovers, courtroom betrayals, even near-death crashes. But nothing in his life had prepared him for this, walking alone into a place where myth bled into reality. His shoes echoed on the damp boards. Somewhere in the fog, a seagull screamed. Then, a voice, smooth, mocking, cut through the mist. "Right on time, Mr. Caldwell." The officer stepped forward, now fully transformed into something more sinister. His tailored suit shimmered as if woven with smoke. His eyes glowed a faint, unnatural blue. Behind him, two men held Amara, her wrists bound by bands of flickering light, her face pale but unbroken. "Let her go," Ethan demanded. "I brought the map." The officer chuckled. "Oh, I'll let her go, once I take what's inside her." He extended a hand. "Give me the map." Ethan hesitated. "You don't even know what you're dealing with." "I know enough," the officer sneered. "The light buried beneath her village, the source, can be controlled. She's the key, the last of the bloodline that binds it. Once I extract it, I'll reshape the world's balance of power." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You sound like every greedy man I've ever known." "I'm something far older than greed," the officer whispered. "I am hunger itself." He raised the rod again. Lightning cracked through the fog, wrapping around Amara's body. She screamed, not in pain, but in resistance. Her eyes blazed gold, fighting back. The pier shuddered beneath them, water thrashing like a living thing. Ethan lunged forward, shoving one of the men aside and slamming his fist into the other's jaw. He snatched a fallen wrench, swinging it with desperate fury. The officer smirked, amused. "You think you can fight magic with metal?" Ethan spat blood. "No. But I can fight for her." He hurled the wrench at the glowing rod. It struck true, metal met power. A surge of light burst between them, hurling all three backward. The pier splintered. Amara fell to her knees, gasping, as the restraints shattered. She looked up, eyes burning with defiance. "You wanted the source," she said. "Then face it." Her voice deepened, resonant and ancient. The map in Ethan's hand ignited, threads of light unspooling into the air. The river beneath them glowed, revealing vast circular symbols carved into the riverbed, patterns that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. The officer's face twisted in awe and terror. "No, it can't be awakened outside the sacred ground." "Then maybe," Amara said, rising slowly, "the sacred ground is wherever I stand." Light exploded upward, forming a vortex around her. Her hair lifted, her skin shimmering with runes that burned brighter with each breath. Ethan shielded his eyes but refused to back away. The officer stumbled, clutching the rod, trying to contain the energy. "You'll destroy yourself." Amara's gaze softened as she looked at Ethan. "Not if he believes." He took a step toward her, through the wind and light, voice breaking. "I do. I believe in you." Something shifted, like the moment dawn breaks after a sleepless night. The light bent around them both, enfolding them in warmth. The rod in the officer's hand shattered. His scream echoed into the night as the vortex consumed him, dragging his form into the river's depths. The water stilled. The glow faded. And then, silence. Ethan fell to his knees beside Amara. She lay limp but breathing, her pulse weak beneath his trembling fingers. "Amara," he whispered. "Stay with me." Her lashes fluttered. "It's done," she murmured. "The source sleeps again." He shook his head, desperate. "Don't talk like that. You're going to live. We'll go home." Her lips curved faintly. "You still don't see, do you? The source isn't something I carry, it is me." The realization struck him like a blow. "You mean?" "If I stay," she said softly, "the light will fade. It needs to return to the earth." "No," Ethan said fiercely. "There has to be another way." "There always is," she whispered. You taught me that. Her fingers brushed his cheek, leaving a faint trail of gold. Do not grieve, my love. The light never truly dies, it simply becomes. Ethan's eyes filled. Amara, please. But before he could finish, the glow surrounded her once more, gentle this time. Her body dissolved into motes of golden light, drifting upward like fireflies into the night sky. He reached out, but his hand passed through empty air. And then, only silence, and the sound of the river breathing again. A faint vibration pulsed through the pier, steady, rhythmic. Ethan turned. The shattered map on the planks was reforming, golden threads weaving themselves back together. New symbols emerged, ones he hadn't seen before. And in the center, glowing faintly, was her name. Amara. He lifted the map, realization dawning. The source wasn't gone. It had chosen him as its next guardian. He looked out at the glowing horizon, a single tear falling. If this is your way of staying with me, I'll keep the light safe. Behind him, police sirens wailed faintly. The world was coming back to life, but Ethan Caldwell would never be the same. If you were Ethan, if the person you loved sacrificed themselves for something greater, would you guard their legacy? Or would you give anything to bring them back? Comment below, which is the truer act of love, letting go or holding on? The world called it the Pier Miracle. No one could explain the blackout, the surge of energy, or the strange aurora that had shimmered over Manhattan that night. But Ethan knew. He returned to the village weeks later, the air heavy with memory. The people greeted him as a friend now, a protector. He walked to the riverbank where it had all begun. In his hand, he carried the map, its glow soft, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. As he knelt to lay it in the earth, the wind stirred. The river rippled. And in that whisper of motion, he heard her voice, "The earth protects its own." Ethan smiled, tears slipping silently down his face. "And I'll protect you," he whispered. "Always." Behind him, a child laughed, a little girl, barefoot and radiant, eyes gleaming faintly gold. She ran past him toward the water, pausing to glance back. For a heartbeat, Ethan swore he saw Amara in her smile. Then she was gone, lost among the trees. He looked to the horizon, where dawn broke in ribbons of gold. As he turned to leave, the ground beneath the river shimmered, briefly, unmistakably, like something awakening again. The light was returning. And this time, the world would have to decide whether to fear it, or follow it. The sky over Mombasa burned with gold and rose, the kind of dawn that promised rebirth. A sleek black SUV rolled slowly up a red dirt road, past a sign that read, "The Amara Caldwell Foundation for Light and Learning." Children's laughter floated on the morning air. Dozens of bright-eyed students, their uniforms a patchwork of color and pride, chased one another across the courtyard of the newly built school. Solar panels glittered above the roof, feeding clean power into the village, a dream Amara once spoke of by firelight. Ethan Caldwell stepped out of the SUV, sunglasses in hand, his white shirt rolled at the sleeves, revealing the thin golden bracelet on his wrist. It shimmered faintly in the sun, the only trace of her magic that remained. He paused at the gates, breathing in the scent of rain-soaked soil. The same soil that had once swallowed a river of light. He whispered, "We did it, Amara." Behind him, a young girl, barely 8 years old, her skin the color of polished bronze, her eyes gleaming amber, ran up, carrying a small bouquet of white hibiscus. "Uncle Ethan. Mama says these are for the ceremony." He smiled, kneeling to take the flowers. "Thank you, Amina." Her gaze lingered on the bracelet. "It glows sometimes. Like stars." He chuckled softly. "Maybe it's listening to you." The girl grinned, then darted off again, laughter echoing down the courtyard. Ethan stood slowly, heart swelling. He had seen cities rise, fortunes made, empires crumble, but nothing compared to this, a place where her light had become a legacy. Inside the school's open-air hall, the community had gathered. Government officials, teachers, and villagers filled the rows, but Ethan's eyes drifted to the back, where a single seat sat empty, draped with a golden shawl and a carved wooden pendant resting on top. Amara's pendant. As he stepped to the podium, he cleared his throat, his voice carrying both confidence and ache. "A year ago," he began, "I came to this land a stranger. I thought I was bringing light to others. Instead, someone here showed me that light isn't something we build, it's something we remember." A hush swept the hall. He looked toward the children. Her name was Amara. Some of you knew her as the guardian of the river. Some, as a friend. I knew her as the reason I found my purpose. He paused, emotion thick in his chest. Amara taught me that the world doesn't need more power. It needs more grace. She showed me that love isn't about possession, but about protection. He raised the pendant for all to see. This place, this foundation, isn't about me. It's about her dream, that no child should live in darkness, whether from poverty, ignorance, or fear. The crowd stood in applause, but Ethan barely heard it. As the sound washed over him, something soft and electric brushed against his thoughts, like a whisper carried on wind. The light never truly dies, it simply becomes. He smiled through the tears. Welcome home, Amara. After the ceremony, Ethan walked down to the river. The same river that had once roared with magic now flowed calm and golden under the setting sun. He knelt, dipping his hand into the cool current. The bracelet glowed faintly, pulsing once, twice, then steady. From the reflection in the water, a shape appeared beside his, a woman's silhouette, her smile radiant, her eyes shimmering with that same quiet courage. Still guarding me? He asked softly. The reflection's lips curved. Still believing in you. He closed his eyes. I miss you. I'm not gone, her voice echoed in his mind. You carry me wherever you build, wherever you love. The source isn't bound to earth anymore, it's bound to hearts. The breeze rippled the water, breaking the reflection, but the warmth stayed. He whispered, I love you. I know, came the wind's reply. Now live. Suddenly, a faint shimmer passed through the riverbank. Ethan frowned, watching as light traced through the soil, etching familiar symbols, the same runes from the night of the pier. But instead of spreading wildly, they pulsed gently, steady as a heartbeat. Behind him, Amina's laughter rang again. When he turned, she was standing there barefoot, her hand outstretched, and the same golden light flickered at her fingertips. Ethan's eyes widened. Amina, what? She smiled shyly. Mama says the river talks to me sometimes. His breath caught. Your mother. The girl tilted her head. She told me to tell you thank you. For keeping her promise. Then the light faded, leaving only a normal child standing in the dusk. Ethan dropped to his knees, trembling, tears spilling freely. Thank you, Amara, he whispered. For choosing to stay, in every new dawn. If you lost the one who gave your life meaning, but they left their light within you, would you keep living for them? Or would you live through them? Comment below, which is harder, saying goodbye or learning to shine after the goodbye? Months passed. The foundation expanded, solar schools across Africa, technology centers run by local women, scholarships in Amara's name. Ethan stepped back from his corporations, turning over leadership to younger hands, dedicating himself to the work she began. One day, while reviewing blueprints for a new energy hub, he noticed a name etched faintly in the design draft, something no engineer could have written. It read, Built with Light. He smiled. Still watching me, aren't you? That night, he returned to the balcony of his Kenyan home. Stars spread across the sky like a million open eyes. He closed his own, feeling the rhythm of the bracelet, the pulse of her power still there, alive, quiet, eternal. Then, from the horizon, a single streak of golden light arced across the sky, a meteor or perhaps something else, landing far beyond the hills. He chuckled softly. Guess I'm not done yet. He turned, eyes alight with purpose, and called out to his assistant. Pack the gear. Tomorrow, we head east. The light's moving. As dawn broke, a news report flashed across global networks. Unexplained aurora over East Africa. Locals report voices in the wind. Somewhere far away, in a hidden valley, the earth pulsed with gentle golden light. A figure, a woman cloaked in radiance, walked among the reeds, touching the river's surface. Until he's ready, she whispered to the wind. Guard him well. Her eyes, Amara's eyes, glowed once, then faded into the rising sun. Years later, when Ethan Caldwell's name became synonymous with sustainable energy and humanitarian innovation, reporters often asked him what inspired his empire of light. He always gave the same answer. It wasn't wealth or power, he would say, gazing toward the horizon. It was a woman who believed the light belonged to everyone. And when he smiled, for just a second, the camera lenses caught it, the faint shimmer of gold flickering behind his eyes. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I am pretty sure you enjoyed it. We have a lot of other interesting and beautiful stories lined for you already, so click on the image showing on your screen to watch the next one.